Right then, before we go, and we are back, but I should explain the absence. There's been a couple of videos missing over the past week to 2 weeks. This video itself was meant to go out 2 weeks ago, but it didn't quite happen for one reason or another. The main reason being I've been away. I've had a couple of staycations, as they call them in 2020, a couple of breaks across the country, and I thought I could sort it out around work to be able to get the video sorted and done in time. It didn't happen for one reason or another, but this video is still ready to go. This was filmed maybe 3 weeks ago, filmed and ready to go. I just couldn't get round to the editing, and Stuart needed to send me his videos, which didn't quite happen straight away, and then blah 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 blah. You get the point. It drifted, but we are back. I've had my staycations. I am back and ready and raring to go, and we are on the road to SummerSlam in both of the series, which is amazing. Also, I just want a massive shout out, a massive thank you to the people that have subscribed to the channel in the past 4 months, whatever it is, 5 months, I guess, since I started Total Extreme Wrestling 2020 videos, because we have passed the 100 subscriber number. Amazing, and it's still rising every day somehow. You guys are loving the content that I've been putting out on this channel, and I am so grateful for all the subscriptions, and keep it coming. The more subscriptions, the more momentum, the more motivation, and the more great content, hopefully, for you guys. We're back, we're ready to go. So there's this one on Sunday, the network save, it's coming out on Sunday. It's not quite Sunday when I'm recording this, obviously, so you get my point. It goes out, and then on Wednesday we should be back with week 3 of the 2020 save. We are 2 weeks away from SummerSlam 2020. We're a little bit more behind now, real life, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I look at what they've done at SummerSlam and Payback, and I'm like, right, things are about to get a lot different from what I'm planning. So it's good. It should be good. I'm waffling. I am absolutely waffling. So let's get on with it. I'm going to go back to past Kyle from 3 weeks ago. He has no idea what's going on. He thinks the video's going out on time at this point. He was wrong. And yeah, sorry about it, but let's go. It's time. It's network time. We are back with another video of the best network series on YouTube since, well, somebody must have done it good at some point. We are just 2 weeks away from the biggest party of the Summerfest. Remember, Jeremy Piven, Summerfest. Stuart Avon, you're with me doing Smackdown. I am doing the A Show Raw. Yep. And you have to win this week, or it's a Raw main event.
Yep, but I think I booked a really good show, so it should be interesting to see if it's good enough to beat you this week. So,
well, I think I've booked a really good show, to be fair. So I'm gonna win. But let's find out. We're gonna open up with the Wrestling Machine, Cesaro in action against Bubba Ray Dudley, because, well, why not? And he gets us a 69. Wow, what a good start to the show.
That's really good, actually, yeah.
Cesaro 67, great performance from him. 56 from Bubba, not bad at all. Both above their popularities, which is the main thing. 69, that's what you want to see. The Wrestling Machine said he wants to bring wrestling back to Raw. He's had a 15-minute decent match, which at this time is like a classic on this save right now. Hell yes, good start. He then gets on the mic. Talks about last week, of course, he was involved in that triple threat against Rusev and Balor, and he was, of course, unsuccessful. And he talks about fighting back from that disappointment, and he vows one day this year, 2016, he will be World Heavyweight Champion. Before he can continue, though, out comes Kevin Owens, who's involved in the triple threat tonight. He wants to be World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam, and could still be World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam. KO comes down, doesn't get on the mic, he just attacks Cesaro, pop-up powerbomb, and leaves Cesaro laying. Kevin Owens is taking out any potential challenger.
Nice. It's pretty much what KO does, doesn't it? So, definitely goes to his character.
And just to give you guys a heads up, this is going to be the KO show. He is all over this show. course, he's in the main event, but we'll see him a few more times before then. Right, next up, a 50 rated promo from Sasha, which isn't too good. She needs a script this week. I'm pretty sure last week she didn't need a script. But anyway.
What's changed?
Yeah, it is what it is. The promo tonight is about the fact that obviously she takes on Paige tonight, and if she wins, she gets a shot at the Women's Championship at SummerSlam, and she says she's going to do that. She's going to beat Paige, and tonight marks the start of the revolution to take down the Queen, to take down the monarch of Monday Night Raw, and start a revolution in the women's division all over again. 50 though.
Wow. Well, for that kind of tough talk, that kind of like big claims, normally that way at least a 60 or 65 at least, but 50 is not great. But
no. We then go backstage to Mick Foley's office where Rusev comes in with Lana for 55. It's okay. I'll explain what happens here. Rusev comes in and he's complaining to Mick Foley about last week's triple threat, how Roman Reigns cost him his shot at the World Heavyweight Championship of being a double champion at SummerSlam. He says it's not fair, it's not right, and what is Mick Foley going to do about it? And Lana butts in first and says what Mick Foley should do is say, right, tonight is no longer a triple threat. It should be a fatal four-way with Rusev involved. And Mick Foley goes, well, tonight, right here at the Mandalay Bay Event Centre, that's a hard one for Mick to say. He says it will be a triple threat match because Rusev's not in it. Mick Foley says no to the complaining Rusev. This is going to be a show. A storyline that goes through the show is the idea. Up next, tag team action. The number one contenders for the tag team championships, the Club, Gallows and Anderson, are in action, taking on two baby faces that are coming back together for maybe just for one night only. They take on the Prime Time Players. Because
wow, that's a really good. That's a good. Was that 50? That get
50? Yeah, really good match actually. 47 from Carl Anderson, 41 from Gallows. Titus was the best for the 49. Yeah, sure. Darren Young, 42.
All in the green. That's good.
Really good. I wanted to see what it would work with Titus and Darren Young. Whether it's worth putting them back together as the primetime players. It's something I can mull over. I'm thinking about it because there's not a lot of tag teams in the division and the primetime players might work. But a 50, really good. And another good win for Gallows and Anderson.
Cool. Really building them up for that match SummerSlam.
Yeah. Afterwards, they get on the mic. Well, Carl Anderson mainly because he does the talking, bragging about taking out Xavier Woods last week. And here come the New Day, furious. Big E is full of intensity and they clear the ring. Gallows is taken to the outside and Anderson is hit with the midnight hour. New Day stand tall this week. 40.
It's a good segment, but it's cool. But obviously it gets a bit blurry. What does that say in the red?
The lack of anything interesting happening in this segment. It's one of these where the database sometimes struggles with what you're trying to put across. Like, to me, they've had a heated confrontation and eventually come to blows with like a brawl is what I've put here. But obviously, we're going to say New Day got the advantage of it. To me, that's quite interesting. But
yeah, well, it is because it's kind of getting revenge for what happened last week. It's kind of works, but
I think it might be where the popularities of some people are so low they don't see it as interesting. Something we just have to deal with, I suppose, at this point. Watching on backstage, though, was Mick Foley, who then announces that Gallows and Anderson have got another tough test next week, just 6 days before SummerSlam, when they'll be taking on Big Cass and Enzo Amore. That should be a big tag match next week.
Definitely. I mean, have Big Cass and Enzo Amore tagged during this save?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they tagged in the first week. I think I put them against the Dudleys.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
So
long time ago, apparently, in my mind.
In my mind, the top heel tag team against the second babyface tag team. So let's see what happens next week.
I'll keep them sharp for the big one.
Yeah. Backstage is Sheamus sulking after not qualifying for tonight's triple threat when he lost to Roman Reigns last week. He's backstage on his own in catering, sulking when he can hear really, really raucous, annoying laughter from the other end of the room. He strolls over looking for a fight and finds the laughter coming from Jack Swagger. Wow, 54. That's interesting. They have an argument. They have a heated confrontation. And Sheamus says, well, let's settle this tonight in the ring. Let's not just do this in a normal matchup. I'm ready for a fight. You look like you want to fight. Let's do this hardcore.
When was the last time we saw a hardcore match on a Raw?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know. But I'm just intrigued. I'm trying it. Let's see what happens. If I could eventually bring back the hardcore division, that would be something weird.
Oh, wouldn't we? God, I love watching back that division. But yeah, if you can. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this goes. And
well, Sheamus has set himself up a match tonight. He's looking for a fight. He's found one in Jack Swagger, the patriarch, Jack Swagger.
It feels good. It's
really
seems
good,
to be a consistent like 50 to 54s type levels at the moment. So that's good.
Up next in action, one man who will challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Finn Balor is in action, and he defeats Ryback for a 62. Wow, that's much better than I was expecting as well. Coup de grace from Balor does the business in about 15 minutes. Balor, a 60 rate performance. That's really good. That's really good from him. He's consistently performing above his popularity level, which is what you want.
If I looking at it right, 60 Finn Balor and 57 was it Ryback?
Yeah, which like Ryback for some reason is more popular than Finn Balor at this point for some reason. But Ryback's put in a decent performance there. I think I did. Yeah, I'll have a look. No, I didn't because it was just a normal storytelling matchup if I remember.
Right. Oh, okay. No, because if I remember, if I know how stories was it Steal the Show works? It makes you perform up better than your rating or something?
Yeah,
like better than you normally
that's
would.
the idea. But no, pretty good. Ryback was penalised for holding back, as was Balor, but everything else was really good. Good road agent work from Billy Kidman as well. Good stuff. Balor looking good. Afterwards, he gets on the mic and cuts a promo on, well, I've said on Seth Rollins, which will make more sense soon, but it's more about the fact that people see him. Wow. Sorry, a 70 rated promo from Balor. Hell yeah. Balor says that, look, he knows that he's an underdog to the brand right now. He's come up from NXT and everyone expects him to be the man that gets beaten at SummerSlam. That's what everybody expects. But he is here to right all the critics, to end all the criticism, and he is here to prove all the doubters wrong at SummerSlam. We're going to paint Balor as this underdog going into a his biggest match of his career type thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because obviously we keep getting he's in this save. He's obviously just debuted, so
yeah,
that makes sense. And obviously Seth's the kind of like, like the I won't say legend, but sort of like the.
Well, obviously Seth's the heel that's talked already trash about him, and then you've got the fact that there's triple threat tonight for his opponent. You've got Seth in there, who's a former champion. You got Roman in there, who's a former champion, and you got Kevin Owens, who's the one guy that's probably similar to Balor's level, but still more experienced in the WWE at least. I'm not get off my back before you go on about Japan. I know. Anyway, I think it's a story we can weave quite well, and Balor is killing it there. Cool. Really good match and a really good promo.
70, man.
Hell
I think I've ever seen I don't think I've ever seen me get a 70. Maybe that changed this week.
Maybe this week. One man watching on the monitor for this was Chris.
75. Wow.
Killing it. Right. One man watching on the monitor was Chris Jericho, standing sideways to it because that's how you have to watch TV in WWE. Anyway, he is unapproving of Balor's promo when steamrolling through the scene comes Kevin Owens, just sort of on a tear, walking with a purpose as usual, Kevin Owens. But as they walk through, Owens sort of stops and stutters and looks at Jericho and they just share a nod. That's it. They just share a nod, and then the scene ends.
What do you mean, like the old school, like when it comes to us guys, like acknowledging? We don't have to say anything. We just nod, and we know exactly what we both mean.
Just a nod, yeah, and it'll all be revealed soon. 75 though, really,
yeah, that's really
good segment. We come back from break for a satellite link promo from Newcastle, England. Neville is recuperating from the attack from Kevin Owens last week, but he cuts a promo on him for 45. That's not great. Neville needs scripting. Talking about the fact that he wants revenge. He vows revenge on Owens. He's making enemies for himself everywhere, but he's made an enemy here that he does not want. Let's just keep Neville in the minds of people. We've got a lot of people to try and push on the brand. Neville is one of them, But right now, he's not going to be involved at SummerSlam. That's why we did the attack last week, to write him out for a few weeks.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, but 45 is not bad. I mean, seen worse promos, but obviously it could be better.
Yeah. Backstage, Rusev has found Stephanie McMahon's office. He's tried Mick Foley. He's now trying Stephanie McMahon, a 70-rate segment. Wow. Nice. Wow. This show is pretty good so far. Rusev and Lana trying the same thing, saying that they should be in the match tonight. Stephanie has absolutely no interest in it. No care in the world. Stephanie, literally just looks up from her office and from her laptop, where she's working away, and just looks back down again and ignores them completely. She has no interest in Rusev's nonsense claims. At the end of this segment, though, what's important to note is I have written this in my notes. As Rusev and Lana walk away dejected, Rusev is properly like, oh, for God's sake, what's going on? And Lana goes, wait. I've got an idea. Hold on. And that's where the segment ends. So we'll see where that picks up. Yeah. Just a tease. Don't think Rusev is done for the night.
Okay.
Next up is Chris Jericho against Sami Zayn. Now, this show's got some pretty good matches on. Balor and Ryback was surprisingly one of them. You got Sasha and Paige. You got Reigns, Rollins, and Owens. But Jericho and Zayn might just be the show stealer. Let's have a look. Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn gets us a 69. So it's still really good. Still really good.
Yeah.
I kind of was hoping it would reach the 70 mark, but close enough. And as you can see, Chris Jericho defeats Sami Zayn with a code breaker following interference from Kevin Owens. I told you he was all over this show.
KO show. Love it.
Well, obviously, KO and Jericho had a great partnership in at this time in real life. And I want to get to that, but I'm just going to eke it out a little bit more. At SummerSlam, they will be against each other, is the plan at the moment. Spoilers. But we'll see where it goes. Jericho, though, a big win here over Sami Zayn. Last week, Jericho was complaining that he wanted another opportunity, a world championship opportunity type thing. And Mick Foley said, right, you can prove it next week against Sami Zayn. 2 top-level contenders. And Jericho has made a statement there by getting a victory. Whether it's a cheating victory or interference or not, Jericho's made a statement there that he needs to be towards the top of the card, towards Mick Foley anyway. 61 from Jericho. Zayn, better performance of a 62. 2 guys that actually really, really need to be pushed.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
And then in
Sami Zayn, definitely.
Mick Foley then, we hear the commentators can announce this. So we're just hearing from Mick Foley. He's announced a tag match for next week. Jericho and Owens will team together against Sami Zayn and Cesaro. Kevin Owens has wronged both men tonight. Chris Jericho was the man who took the win from it. Jericho and Owens will team against Zayn and Cesaro just a week before SummerSlam. As it stands, that none of them have a match set for SummerSlam. So let's see where that goes. 61 though, pretty good. Should be a big match next week.
Yeah. Go home show.
Go home. Yeah. From there we go to a Paige promo on Sasha Banks. Or on Charlotte, sorry. Well, both really. Ooh. Talking about Charlotte and Sasha. 45 is okay. Again, it's a women's division, so it is okay. Paige needs a script as well, which is a bit of a shame. She talks about the fact that Paige wants to end Sasha's dream tonight. She doesn't want Sasha to be the one to go against Charlotte. She wants to be the one to go against Charlotte. And with a win tonight, she can send a message to Mick that she should be number 1 contender and be the one to lead this revolution against the Queen. But we are painting this idea that Charlotte is at the top on her own and people are starting to take shots at her, basically.
Build up, but build ups, like enough challenges so like whoever dethrones her, like it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, that's what you always want from your champion, I suppose. But Paige is someone that I am mulling over a babyface turn, and this is a story that could play into that. The idea that Paige she doesn't want Sasha to win, of course, but she doesn't like Charlotte either. And Paige and Charlotte is somewhere we could go maybe down the line. We'll have a look. I know they did it before, but only so many options on this women's division. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Right.
25's not bad though.
Leading into that, though, up next, Charlotte makes her entrance. She's joining commentary for this big matchup to watch on and potentially scout her challenger. Charlotte's on commentary, 58 for the segment of her just making an entrance, so that's really good. And it's Sasha, Banks, and Paige. What do you reckon? I reckon if it's over 50, I'm pleased.
The way the luck's gone, I'm going to say 48, maybe.
I wouldn't be too upset with that because it is the women's division. Let's have a look. Sasha, Banks, and Paige. Can Sasha book her place at SummerSlam? You bet she can. Wow.
Nice.
61. I am very pleased with that. Sasha Banks 55. Paige 54. I said to them steal the show, and they've done their very best to do so. Sasha wins after a botched interference from Charlotte, who came running down to try and stop Sasha and actually ended up clobbering Paige instead. So Paige has got a little bit of an out and a bit of a bone to pick with the champion too now as well.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good way to show.
I'm hoping so, the way it's going. Really, really, really good match that. I thought it'd be good. I didn't think it'd be that good, so I'm pleased. Sasha, though, books in for SummerSlam. It's confirmed. Sasha and Charlotte for the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. So that is going to be interesting. Next up, Jack Swagger cuts a promo on Sheamus for 50. This isn't great. Jack needs scripting. Good to know. Yeah, it is what it is. I gave him a couple of minutes to see what he could do on a promo, and yeah, maybe not again. Maybe not. Talking about the promo. Sorry, go on.
He's had his chance.
He's had
Give him a chance. He's blown it.
Yeah, exactly. And Swagger says here, look, I was just enjoying myself. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this with Sheamus. But if he wants to fight, who am I to say no? I may not want to hurt him, but I absolutely will if I need to. So Swagger's going into it a little bit reluctantly against Sheamus. Obviously, he's putting on the brave face, but I think it just puts over the fact that Sheamus is a bit of a force, and people know that.
Okay. Yeah, that's not the 50's not great, but it shouldn't bring the show down really because it's been quite good so far. So.
Right. Next up, the penultimate match of the show is a hardcore contest. Jack Swagger versus Sheamus. Hardcore, wild brawl, I've said. It gets us a 61. Wow. Sheamus, an in-ring performance of a 71. Sheamus could be the greatest ever hardcore wrestler ever. Oh my God, that's a gimmick. That could work for Sheamus, couldn't it?
What do you think you could? And you could do the whole like open challenge thing or something. You can bring back legends. It's like its potential is endless if it's getting good ratings. Yeah.
Well, really good match here. Jack 55, Sheamus 71, and for a match with no storyline, just to see what happens on TV. They only had 6 minutes, but it's a hardcore matchup, so they go all out type thing. I don't want to give them a lot of time for a hardcore matchup.
That's probably why it did well.
Yeah.
It's like short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah. And Sheamus bounces back from the loss to Roman Reigns last week with a pretty dominant victory. I'd said domination as well. Sheamus to dominate, and he looks good there. He looks very, very good.
Okay, cool.
Right. So just before the main event, there are 2 segments before the match itself. Backstage, Roman Reigns is making his way out to the ring. Well, he's going through a corridor when he's sort of intercepted by Lana. For a 68 rate segment, Lana gets in front of him, and she's been a little bit flirty with Roman Reigns, right? Trying to put on the charm, talking about the fact that Roman Reigns tonight could impress everyone, and then maybe afterwards Lana could impress him, right? Distracting him, though, is what Lana's doing when Rusev attacks from behind, attacks Roman Reigns, and knocks him down and goes to work on Roman Reigns' leg over and over with anything he can find backstage. He has destroyed Roman Reigns here, left him down and out as we go to a commercial.
Okay. That's the match. That's the segment it sets up.
One more, because we come back from commercial to find Rollins. Rollins makes his entrance. Rollins makes his entrance. Owens makes his entrance. And then Rusev's music hits. And Rusev comes out with a mic and says, well, Mick Foley said it will be a triple threat match tonight, didn't he? Well, as you can see, Roman Reigns isn't here. So Rusev is ready to step in. But before he can go any further, Roman Reigns' music hits. And here he comes, limping out to the ring, gets in the ring. Roman Reigns will be in the match. A 73 rate segment, by the way, really good. Roman Reigns, he's hurt. He's going into it with a bit of a weakness, but Rusev's plan of taking out, well, Lana's plan of taking out Roman Reigns to get in the match didn't work.
Yeah, what? Yeah, Sony. Wow, that segment's really got good. Yeah.
Well, I thought I planned this week to try and do a long a storyline that goes throughout the show, and that's what we tried to do with Rusev. And each time they've kind of hit it out the park. So good.
That's the kind of stories you miss. That's why the main shows in real life like don't have that, because it just doesn't have that kind of like reason to watch every week.
Yeah.
But this, like, I would watch this
So,
back in 2016. So yeah, cool. So we know about the main event.
Rusev and Lana are staying out to watch the main event. They're at ringside because they were already out there, and it's Reigns, Owens, and Rollins elimination triple threat match. The winner will take on Finn Balor at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Champion. Your winner is Seth Rollins in a 74. That is really good. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be high. I think it's high rating. This. If it gets a low rating, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I'll be very shocked as well. So let's talk through it. As I say, elimination. So Roman Reigns comes into this with an injury, and they play on that. Rollins and Owens start to beat down Reigns, try and take him out, try and take the legs out. But Roman Reigns is a Superman. Eventually, he pops up, he hulks up, so to speak. Superman punch to Rollins, spear to Owens out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens is eliminated by a burst of energy from Roman Reigns, leaving just Reigns and Rollins. But Rollins knows Reigns is hurt. Rollins is the ultimate architect here. Rollins just dismantles him over and over and over to the point that he cannot carry on. And in the end, the stomp does it. After, there was one thing actually, after, it's not come up, after Rusev gets involved still from ringside, he's still involved. You can say Roman Reigns maybe bursts up and hits a spear again on Rollins, looks like he's about to win it when Rusev pulls the referee out type thing. But in the end, Rollins gets the victory and qualifies for SummerSlam. Rusev and Reigns have now a legit battle between the two. Owens, I don't think, loses too much by losing to Reigns and Rollins, two of the biggest stars in the brand, and a good main event.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, that last two main events haven't been the greatest. So, like, to get that kind of 74, could it be just a situation of like the kind of like using the same guys over every week? It's kind of like eventually it builds up into better scores. Am I just not getting the game?
In theory, yeah, because the more you use them, the more you use them and they win, the popular they've got to get type thing. I mean, they can get more popular by not winning too, depending on who they're against, etc.
Okay.
In that sense, it's realistic. The more you use them, the more they're seen as stars, the more popular they are, the more interested people are, the better the segments.
Yeah.
Basically. So this is good. Good main event. Not quite finished. As Rollins is celebrating, onto the ramp comes Finn Balor for a 68 rate segment. It's okay. And Balor just sort of looks at him and gives the salute, the Bullet Club gun salute to Rollins, a warning of that he's ready to take him out at SummerSlam, just to put the two of them together to end the show.
Yeah. Cool.
So what do you reckon?
What would you get last time? 55?
55. It's got to be better than that.
I'm going to say, if it's not at least a high 60.
Yeah.
At least.
I reckon about a 68, I reckon.
Yeah, let's figure out.
Right, let's find out. Show rating is 73. Yeah, it's still lost its popularity.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I've got a feeling I'm not going to win this week, but you never know.
So I expected this week to be a big week, so I put in Rollins, Reigns and Owens, and that was always going to be a big match. But it's not that's brought us up so much. It's actually, do you know what I mean? Cesaro and Bubba Ray Dudley getting a 69. Really good start to the show. Great promo by Balor. Great angle with Jericho and Owens. Another good angle there. Jericho and Zayn, 69. That's much better than expected. Balor Ryback, 62. Everyone's done better than expected this week. More or less.
Okay. That's good. Well, it's good for you. I mean, I've got to try and beat that. Great.
Can you hear the worry in his voice, boys? Can you hear the worry in his voice? As it stands, it looks like it's going to be a Raw main event at SummerSlam. He's got Smackdown to change it.
I'm happy I've got a good show, but to that kind of level, I mean, to be fair, to get to 49 to get like that kind of level, but I'm not gonna. I'm positive. Okay, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
Make or break.
Okay, then part 2, Smackdown, and he has a big task on his hand. Can he do it? I'm not quite sure. We open up though with a limousine arriving to the arena.
Yes, basically it's like the situation because obviously the Miz is kind of like big A-lister, so he could. What was it? What do you get? Is that 58? Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. But the whole story is like basically the Miz obviously done his actions last week. He obviously cost Dolph Ziggler a chance to become champion. So obviously the Miz turns up in limousine as he is the A-lister, and obviously Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are waiting for him. Not happy with his actions, what he did last week, and kind of like telling him obviously Dolph is he's coming to me, and he is pissed. He wants to fight you. Obviously the Miz is saying, why do I care? The guy's a loser. Well, I just showed that he's a loser last week. Yes, and obviously when he said he's in the arena, and the Miz is kind of worried, and sort of Danny Bryan sort of like, good luck tonight, watch your back, and sort of in a sarcastic way. But just when Danny Bryan walks off, he says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that tonight's match against Dean Ambrose is now a street fight. So good luck for tonight." So that sets up the main event.
Pretty good. Good start to the show. Gets the Miz involved straight away. You can see he's going to be the star of the show tonight. We move on. Opening contest, and it's the tag team division.
Yes. So well, it's more of the sort of. I'm actually quite happy with that. That's pretty good. Basically, like this whole match was basically set up because obviously for SummerSlam you got American Alpha versus the Usos. So I thought of do the whole thing where like the tag teams go against in singles action. So obviously this week, so Jey Uso versus Jason Jordan. It was more to showcase what Jason Jordan can do because I was quite impressed from when I saw some of the ratings he got. So give him a shot. Give him a shot on the show. Yeah, and obviously, I mean, Jason Jordan getting a win. I mean, 47. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Obviously, it could be better, but this is the first time Jason Jordan's been in a singles match, so you're not expecting high levels, but it's pretty much he's kind of performing at his level, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
47.
Yeah, well, it's just above. I think 45. His in-ring performance. That's pretty good.
This leads into like kind of a interview with sort of AJ asking about the main event tonight and what his thoughts on it is and that kind of stuff. Obviously AJ's like, I don't care about that. That kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be a better WWE champion. Even if you people don't like it or not, and kind of, but my plans for tonight is going to when he goes against Mojo Rawley later on. Kind of like, he's not even to my level. I'm going to show him why I'm phenomenal, and kind of warns Dean like, so he's got something special for him tonight, so you better watch out. So that sets up maybe an angle for the main event. So yes, obviously this match was set up last week with the whole Natalya smashing Becky Lynch through the TV, very Shawn Michaels Jericho-esque. So it's to set up the match. It's basically, this was more of a sort of Becky's like really wants to get revenge on her, basically, and it's more just again to Natalya getting her on the show and also making Becky Lynch just like, because she's undefeated at the moment during these bookings, just to keep her booking strong and looking like the top woman in the division. So, but yeah, I'm liking that. I think that was a good rating. Done its job, and Becky looks good. So happy.
Pretty good. Cool. Right. Next up.
Yes. So this kind of thing was kind of like, I'll do this backstage segment where sort of like, so Becky, they got Becky Lynch coming, sort of coming to the back, sort of like happy with her win, and obviously Alexa Bliss kind of confronts her, kind of like saying what to congratulate on a win, but in a sarcastic way. Obviously, Alexa Bliss kind of been putting herself across like, yeah, I'm the top wrestler in this in SmackDown. I'm top women's wrestler because I'm the goddess, and just remind you, and I'm going to take over this division. And obviously, Becky takes exception to that. Sort of said, well, okay, if you think you're so good, put your money where your mouth is. Face me at SummerSlam. Typical Alexa Bliss kind of walks off, kind of like, oh, I don't need to prove anything. But just before when Becky walks off, was it Alexa Bliss, because it brings out some brass knucks, and hits her in the face and knocks her out, straight out. Obviously, then you got, was it everyone in the sort of like the women's division sort of pulling them apart, sort of Becky. So sort of then you got everyone checking on Becky, seems she's okay. So it's kind of this kind of segment sort of sets up their angle, or kind of the reason for them to face at SummerSlam. But yeah, I wanted it to be a kind of not just an attack, but something a bit more brutal. Then we get never backstage. You got the Miz in his dressing room, kind of like sort of freaking out, because obviously about Dolph, kind of like, I want to fight him, so he's got extra security around, like inside the room, outside the dressing room, so no one can get in there. So he's protecting him, because he's like, he doesn't want Dolph. He's really freaking out if Dolph finds him, he's gonna take him out. So, and obviously he calls Danny Bryan into his dressing room, kind of trying to plead with him to call off this match tonight, and kind of change the stipulation, kind of stressing that kind of stressing that there's no, like, I'm not safe, so you got to call this off. I mean, there's a crazy man out there trying to attack me, and then you put me in an OGQ, was it a street fight? It's like, do you know who I am? And obviously Danny Bryan's looking at him going, you brought this on yourself. You've actions have consequences from last week. And yeah, so don't you want to show how good you are? So like Danny Bryan walks off, and then walks off with a kind of like sarcastic comment, kind of saying like, well, you got 2/3 of security tonight, so you should be fine. And then sort of walks off, and then so that sets up kind of the main event again, and kind of sets up the character that the Miz is really worried about Dolph Ziggler tonight.
Miz and Bryan in
the show, I mean.
Yeah, but Miz and Bryan in a segment will always be gold. You can't complain about that rating. That's pretty good.
This one's kind of like I kind of thought it was fitting, because obviously we're talking about Dolph Ziggler, was it turning up and sort of like being in the arena. I always like the old segments you have in like Smackdown, with like example, like when The Rock used to turn up, you just have a segment of him walking through the door. So I thought with this one, it sort of like sets up that Dolph Miz is worried that Dolph's going to turn up, and then Dolph turns up to the arena, and he looks pissed about what happened last week. So I just thought that'd be a nice little the old show not tell thing type situation. So, but yeah, I'm happy with that. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, just it's all he's doing is just turning up. So
yeah, right, cool.
Yep. So, okay. Next one's sort of set up again, like, so obviously Shelton Benjamin has kind of had this problem because he lost to Kalisto last week, so he's really annoyed. So, and then obviously against Apollo Crews, kind of like a situation where it's kind of like the old Shelton Benjamin's kind of like legend, sort of like the old kind of like, maybe not legend, but you know what I mean, like sort of like seasoned kind of wrestler. And then you got obviously Apollo Crews, kind of like the upstart. And it's kind of thing I wanted to set up again, like sort of like Shelton keeps losing. Keeps losing basically, and it's going to set up a kind of match next week that obviously I'll talk about next. But yeah, I think it's again, it's more of a segment to big up Apollo Crews, because I'm trying to book him really well. So, and I think he's only lost like he's won most of his matches so far. So, but 42 is pretty decent for what it's all right for what kind of a match out of nowhere. So I'm happy with that.
Apollo putting in a 45 performance, he's improving, which is what you want. He's the star, isn't he? Let's be honest. Obviously, you're going to do a storyline with Shelton, and I get that, but Apollo's the star, and he's improving week on week. Pretty good.
Pretty much similar with the sort of AJ stuff. Like, obviously, you're asking Dean sort of like about, was it kind of giving a comment on sort of what, sort of giving a comment on what AJ said about, got something special planned for you tonight. Like could he be involved in the main event? Dean sort of says like the same thing, said like he doesn't care. He basically threatens AJ to say, okay, bring it. I want to if you want to fight, you know where to find me, and just walks off. It's kind of like a situation where like Dean's not bothered. He's like he's not afraid or scared of AJ, but it just it kind of sets up the kind of idea that there's again, like the main event, anything can happen. What's going to happen first? Sort of to big up the main event, and that's what this segment did. So yeah, but is it 67?
67, pretty good. To be honest, I thought Dean was your best chance of cracking a 70 on a promo, but not quite. Maybe he'll get there next week.
57.
Wow. AJ's putting a good performance there, though. 71 from AJ. It's Mojo that's your problem. A 29 from Mojo.
Yeah, but it's like anything though. It's just his first shot in the first time we used him in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just basically like the old days when you used to have like the challenger or like the champion just have a match that it's pretty good, but it's just like it's obviously built up like AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him like put him on the show and just sort of to prove, kind of show people like, okay, what this is why he's number one contender.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like just to keep, and obviously keep him relevant on the show. So yes, now next we go into a kind of it's kind of segment where it looks like they're involved, but it's basically like you got the Miz walking out of his dressing room, obviously with all his security, because obviously he's like afraid, and it's kind of a segment where you just want to get an interview with him, sort of like just say, oh, what are your thoughts on everything tonight, and all that, like everyone's been asking for the show, and he kind of just looks at them going like sort of like he doesn't want to speak because he's too focused and too worried about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of a situation where we're walking off, the camera pans, and then you see like, what was it, a picture of Dolph looking annoyed, like the situation like, oh, he's finally found him.
Right.
And yeah, and that's pretty much the segment.
Just a
sort of
tease
set up
for the main event
with it. Yeah, because I always like, I think I've noticed when I do booking, I always do that. But it's like I always like the segments where there's always like someone, if someone's annoyed or something, it's always he's like a teaser. He's he going to turn up in the match? Like who's gonna? I like it. Just puts more on the match than just being a street fight.
Yeah,
I would say. Cool. Yeah. Next, obviously, builds up to the main event, of course. Yeah, I mean, fifth. Yes, I suppose it's 2071.
It's pretty good. Dean's put in a good performance. The Miz is about his popularity. You've been marked down by the fact that the Wild Brawl in the main event, with the way the show went, didn't particularly work. And this is the problem with the Wild Brawls. It's sometimes you're taking a bit of a risk that the show falls correctly into order so that the fans are ready for a Wild Brawl, whereas here it hasn't quite worked out that way.
Yeah, I mean, normally I wouldn't put one, but I guess when you have to, kind of.
Yeah.
I think with the story, it kind of works. Yeah, it's just the kind of segment I wanted to go for. This is the kind of situation where, obviously the Miz is going for the match, kind of like looking over his shoulder, kind of stuff, like because he's really worried Dolph's going to turn up, and obviously Dean's capitalizing on this. Kind of like, and then but basically near the end of the match, you got a situation where Dolph Ziggler's music hits, and obviously the Miz is like freaking out. I should point out that the Miz has obviously got this large security force with him, because obviously he's obviously A-lister, so he needs that kind of. He's got them all surrounding the entrance ways and everything, just to make sure Dolph doesn't get in or just gets involved in the match.
Yeah.
But obviously for the distraction finish, obviously Dolph's music hits. He gets freaked. He looks at the ramp. No one comes, and then obviously turns around, and obviously with that sets up nicely with Dean Ambrose hitting the Dirty Deeds, and gets the win. So he gets the Miz gets in the main event. Obviously Dean looks good, and that kind of sets up for the last segment of the night, I would say. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, 61's really good. Yeah, so this whole thing is basically like situation. Obviously, Miz gets up, obviously just getting the Dirty Deeds, gets up, and then obviously the crowd goes nuts when he turns around and Dolph's standing right behind him. Gets a couple of shots in before the security force comes in, and kind of like stops him. Obviously he's fight, and it gives time for the Miz to run to the back. And obviously Dean loves a fight, so he's involved. So he's like helping Ziggler to sort of take out security force. So it got the Miz running away, and then obviously in this chaos and all this thing going on, you've got then out of nowhere AJ comes from behind from the crowd and hits Dean with a lead pipe on his leg, and then sort of locks in the calf crusher sort of into the security force, like pulls him off to stop it, to kind of set up. So it's like he promised that he would have a surprise for him, and he delivered. Where he's taken out his leg and injured him. And then obviously he last segment you see in the ring is obviously AJ and holding up the lead pipe in one hand and the WWE title in the other, the setup there. Then you cut to the Miz running for his life, trying to get into the limo, shouting at the driver saying, get the engine running. And then obviously you got Dolph right behind him, but it's a situation where Miz gets into the limo. The Miz was it Dolph just misses him, and Miz is able to escape, and he kind of screams like "damn it," like sort of kind of like he was so close to getting him, and then that's how the show ends. Sort of like, you know, that's how I would end the show. Yeah.
Very, very dramatic ending. I feel like you've had a quite solid show. Like, obviously, nothing's been spectacular on the segment ratings, but I feel like you've had a solid show. I reckon you're looking at a 57, 58, 59 ish.
I'll be happy with that because I just even if I don't, obviously I'm not going to win, but it's like if it's like anything, it's a solid like build, like better rating every week, then it's definitely good.
Yeah. Should we have a look? Show rating is 59. Did say 59? I think that's pretty good. I think you've, like you say, they're all here. If you look at the colours as well, nothing's bad. The lowest thing on the show is a 41, which was an angle there, which isn't that low really. It's quite good. I think if you turn a couple of these, like that main event, if that hits you a 65,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's a different sort of match. If you turn these Jason Jordans and Jey Usos to a mid-50s, the show keeps improving and improving. I think it's a pretty good show. Pretty solid show.
Obviously, I think for me, it's just yes, obviously one. It's like obviously the first show was rubbish. I thought it was good, but it got a bad rating. Second show has been better rating wise, and obviously the third one's got is just moving up. It's gradually. Obviously, it means that obviously I've lost and 3-0 down, but I'm really happy. I think I like the way I booked the show in the sense that it's the way I kind of show that I used to like watching when the old Smackdowns with there's always an angle or something building up to the main event.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but the one thing we can confirm with that is that it is Raw's month. It is Raw's main event. The biggest party of the summer will be a Raw main event. And yes, the main event will be for the World Heavyweight Championship. We can confirm that right now.
Normally
3-0.
Normally I would be bothered. I put it out this way. If there's anything I've learned from anything is when it comes to anything I do is I always start off bad and then slowly, gradually move up until eventually I overtake you. So yes, you might have that 3-0 win at the moment, but if it's I'm a Liverpool fan, so I know how to come back from 3-0 down, and and obviously I think I can like that's rating's going to get better next week and the week after. So you better be careful.
I mean, I look at the two shows, and as I say, I feel like you've had a solid show. But what I would say, from my point of view, is if you didn't watch that show, I don't feel like you've missed much. Whereas Raw, you had a massive triple threat match. You had Jericho and Zayn. I mean, I know which show I'd rather watch right now.
Yeah, but that's coming from the person that booked the show you would rather watch. So it's like, is that really fair?
Let the comments decide then, I suppose. But it is 3-0 in August. We'll start again after SummerSlam, back to 0-0. Because I think actually we go to pay-per-views of our own. So I think we're probably going to do it after pay-per-views, actually, to be fair. But this month, 3-0, not 0-0. Pretty good. That's the end of the episode, though. And yeah, like I say, I'm pleased with my show. He's had a pretty good show, to be fair to him. Pretty good. Things are improving along the way. Next week, then, in 2 weeks' time, will be week 4, and then SummerSlam not far away. Until next time, from me, peace. I'll let Stuart have the final word as the loser.
Oh, thank you. How nice. It's probably a pity thing because obviously I lost, so he's being nice. But yeah, anyway, everyone have a good day, and hope you enjoy. And see you next week, next time. Bye.
Cool. And we're out.